Hello, everyone. Welcome to Adversary of My Adversary. We are your hosts, Black Witch Dirah and Stade. Occult, conservative. What was the other words you used on our new?
Parents, conservatives.
There we go. So yeah, you don't need to wonder anymore about whether conservative applies or not, because there was a while ago, a couple of months ago maybe, it was just like, you never know, your favorite witchy influencer might be a conservative, and now you know. It's in black and white, it's in writing, so no one needs to be shocked or surprised or angry about it anymore. So obviously we haven't done one of these in a little while because the baby came. So yeah, it's just scheduling things in has been tricky, but I think we are more adjusted now into somewhat of a routine. Yeah, it's a, if you can call it a routine, it's as much as a routine as we can, make it right now. But we would like to start doing this every Sunday again. So that's the plan. And as for my personal uploads to YouTube, I haven't quite gotten around to that yet, as I have had the intention to. I did record something, but then overthinking kicked in, and I was just like, no, that's just not what I want to put out. So yeah, it's just about finding the time for me to actually sit down and record once a week. But at least we will have these weekly to substitute if I if I take even longer. But I really do think I actually need to sit down and set a date to just dive back in. So yeah, that is the plan. So today our topic is navigating pregnancy inside a left-hand path household. So I'm going to be talking a little bit how left-hand path philosophy kind of ties into that, a kind of summary of what pregnancy was like, the mental and emotional shifts, how we've navigated that in our partnership, and lots of other things. So where should we start?
Top, I guess.
Okay, so left-hand path philosophy and pregnancy. So I don't know, what do you think of that? Because I don't really know where to start with that first thing.
I think kind of like,
and I also need to prop him.
okay, that's fine. I think left-hand path philosophy, as a whole, we know talks a lot about, autonomy, agency, sovereignty, all of these things, personal responsibility, responsibility of the self. And so I think one of the jarring things to start with, when you're pregnant and you're practicing on a path that is about the self, how taking care of the self takes a different form, because now it's not just you. It is necessary to take care of you, but in a different way, than what you're used to.
Mm.
And you were the one that was pregnant. So this is kind of like, this is.
Yeah, I mean, from the get, like right from when we found out, like we found out at about 5 weeks. And just right from the get, it was kind of hell. So
it was 1 week of knowing where it was okay.
Yeah, I mean, it was like a few days of just like, oh, I don't feel sick yet. And then, yeah, it was just like the nausea lasted probably up until like week 14. And then even after that, it was just pretty constant fatigue. And yeah, I was just out of it. Like I just couldn't like fucking function pretty much all the way through. So you know, a lot of the times when I wasn't on apocrypha and things like that, I was laying down with a headache with an ice pack on my face. So yeah, it was pretty rough, and I had a lot of guilt about how much my practice had changed. You know, I'd gone from practicing pretty much every single day to, you know, basically just doing only the essentials. And but like I didn't have a choice in that. It wasn't, and I kept like thinking to myself, oh God, like I'm so fucking lazy. And you know, I just, when you are an occultist, and I think especially like a left-hand path occultist, it really ties into your identity. It really kind of is at the core of who you are. At least for me anyway. I'll speak for myself here. So when you don't feel as in touch with that anymore, it results in this like fucking crazy identity crisis where it's just like, who the fuck am I now? Because it's not just a transition into not being a mother to being a mother. You know, everything changes. So much for me has changed this year, like the people I call friends. You know, things have, you know, it's not all been like bad in the sense that like it's just been like, you know, death has surrounded me in a metaphorical sense, obviously. It's also brought a new level of closeness, you know, particularly with like us and also family as well. And but yeah, you know, a lot, it's changed so much, and on a physical level as well, like how it changes your body, you know, not just in how it looks but how it functions. So it's a lot to swallow. So the guilt has been a really hard one for me. The guilt, the shame, because you know, I'm pretty perfectionistic as well in just the way I am and the way I do things. And I hold myself to high expectations, and that was something I just couldn't meet. But I think it's been really important to view this as a transformation and not as a sacrifice. View it as a change rather than an ending, in an alchemical sense. And I feel like I'm finally starting to understand it and view it in that way now. That guilt is starting to lift. I'm starting to feel, I wouldn't say I feel like myself, because I think I need to redefine what that is. But yeah, it's definitely a lot easier than it was. So, and I knew it would be once that, you know, I had given birth, that things would kind of start to feel a little bit more in place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think it's just kind of like, you know, and also like the different stages of the pregnancy, right? Like, you know, it wasn't just, you know, the same thing all the way through. It's like we felt like we kind of understood one part of it, and then it would change as soon as we thought we understood it, and then we'd have to do something different to try to, you know, balance it out. And you know, it was kind of crazy, you know.
Yeah. And what do you think was the most difficult part for you?
Honestly, like the pregnancy part of it, like I think wasn't really difficult for me, you know. once we kind of figured out like how to deal with certain things, I think the hardest part was actually the birth itself.
Yeah.
And was like your allergic reaction to the anesthesia.
Yeah. That was not good.
That's terrifying.
Yeah. So long story short, I almost died giving birth. So yeah, I ended up having an emergency C-section at 35 and a half weeks because throughout my entire pregnancy, I had gestational hypertension, which is basically high blood pressure, not at a dangerous level, but it needs to be managed. Because what can happen is gestational hypertension can turn into something called preeclampsia, which is when your blood pressure starts to, I'm not an expert, but I think it's when it starts to affect the placenta.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think 25% of gestational hypertension cases eventually turn to preeclampsia, develop into preeclampsia. So, and then if that turns into eclampsia, you're fucked. So, yeah, it was really unexpected. We were taking my blood pressure and it was staying super high. I had taken the blood pressure medication that I'd been prescribed and it just wasn't going down. I had an awful headache that painkillers weren't touching. I was prescribed very strong painkillers for my pregnancy. And yeah, it just wasn't touching it at all. So it was like, okay, we contacted our doctor and he said that we should go to hospital to be tested for preeclampsia. So we were kind of like, does this mean that like he's coming out? So we packed the baby bag, the hospital bag, just in case. And then, yeah, we showed up at the hospital. I had my blood test and the doctor was like, yeah, it's time for the baby to come out. So, I was like, I am so not fucking ready for this at all. I mean, I don't think you ever are ready for something like that. And so, yeah, we went to a different hospital from there and I was admitted. They prepped me for my cesarean. And they were giving me the anesthetic, and within about, what would you say, like 3 minutes or so, I said to the anesthesiologist, she was standing by my head at the time, and I said to her, I am dying. Like, my ears were ringing. I felt like it's like I could feel like my body wanted to shake, but it was almost like it couldn't because I was numb. And I was like, what the fuck? Am I about to have a seizure? I could feel myself sort of like, I was like clinging to like consciousness, like trying to stay awake. And I had the most intense pain in my head and my neck, and it was like pulsating. And I was saying to this anesthesiologist, like, I am fucking dying. You need to do something. I'm in so much pain and like something is wrong. And she was like, no, you're fine. It's fine. It's okay. And then what did you say to her?
I mean, I just pissed. I said, like, she's having an allergic fucking reaction. Give her something. And then, like, because the thing was, is like her face puffed up, her neck puffed up. There was hives starting to come up on her neck. And yeah, it was scary as fuck because, I mean, it looked like her head was going to pop, you know?
And I think the really scary thing is I feel like if you weren't in there, something really bad would have happened. So they basically gave me adrenaline and then it stopped. So it was definitely like an allergic reaction. And then shortly afterwards, they pulled our baby out and I heard a little cry. And they took him straight over to this table and put this like breathing mask on him. And I kept saying, oh, you know, like, is he okay? I want to see my baby. Can I see my baby? And they're like, yeah, you can see your baby soon. And then they just wheeled him out. And then obviously Attius went with him to where they were taking him. And that was like my worst fear of like what was going to happen. Like that was one of my worst fears about giving birth, that I wasn't going to be able to have contact with my baby. That he was going to be taken away from me, that I didn't know where he was, and I was going to be left on my own when we'd all be separated. And that's exactly what happened. And then they wheeled me into this bay afterwards, and they said I would be there for 20 minutes. I was there for 2 hours. And then eventually they took me to the room where we were staying, and Attius was in there, and I was like, where's the baby? And he was in the NICU for breathing difficulties. So that was down to him being late preterm. So he wasn't like super premature, because he was almost 36 weeks, or like 2 days off of being 36 weeks. They were chatting shit though and being like, oh no, he's 34 weeks. I was like, I know how fucking pregnant I was. Like, so yeah, he was in there, and obviously because I just had a major surgery, I couldn't go and see him. I couldn't walk. And they basically said that I couldn't go and see him until I could walk. And that took
about a day.
Yeah, about a day for me to go and see him.
I think that's another point. Kind of important. Calling, couldn't walk. It was too painful, stuff like that. You know, like the nurse wasn't helping for shit, but you know, you were able to do it with me.
Yeah, so they try and get you to start walking as soon as like is safe to do so, I think. Because they kind of it's to prevent something, I can't remember what it's called, adhesions or something like that. So it is good for you to try and start walking like as soon as you can, but fuck me, it is so painful. It feels like your insides are gonna basically spill out of you. So this nurse was trying to help me get out of bed, and I tried to stand up and I just couldn't, and I just burst into tears. It was so fucking painful. And then Attius was like just down the road, and I called him, and I was just like, I can't walk, I can't get out of bed. But when he came back, we started trying again, and this time, I took it slower because I feel like the nurse just wanted to kind of get it over with and try and get me up, kind of thing. And eventually I could get to the bathroom, and I was so scared when they took my catheter out as well, because I was like, what if I can't walk to the bathroom? So yeah, the next day, I managed to see our baby, and he still had this like mask thing on, and he had all these like fucking tubes on him. He had a feeding tube in, and it was just like horrible to see. Like, he was okay, but it was just like, he was in this incubator thing, and I couldn't touch, there were like holes in it so you could put your hand through, but like I couldn't hold him. So yeah, it was kind of just, I pretty much cried every time I went to see him. And he was in there for about 5 days. So that is a short stay for a NICU baby.
Yes.
So we were lucky in that department.
Yeah, well, he wasn't intensive, right? So they had intensive, intermediate, and then like normal, right? Like, and so he wasn't in the intensive, he was in the intermediate, which is good.
Yeah, so he wasn't like a super like sick baby or anything. But, it was still fucking terrifying, because it was like we'd get a call from the pediatrician in the morning and say, yeah, we tried to take his breathing mask off, but his feet went blue. And it was just like so fucking difficult, because you couldn't just go to the NICU to see him. It was like these scheduled visits for an hour at a time. So we were allowed in at 12 and then at 6 in the evening. And I was also allowed in at 3 eventually once I managed to, once we managed to persuade them to let me actually feed him. So yeah, and it just felt like that, you know, although I understood logically that these people were looking after my baby, it just felt like they were telling me what to do with my own son, like whether or not I could feed him or touch him or hold him or anything like that. And yeah, I think it's honestly like the most difficult thing I've ever been through. And
on top of that, like the staff treating you like shit unless I was around, you know, like all of those things are just like, you know, just added on to the whole, you know, negativity of the experience.
yeah, like I didn't feel, what's the word? I don't know, but they weren't particularly friendly towards me. And I understood that like it's difficult because my Spanish is dog shit. So you know, it was difficult to communicate, but it wasn't an excuse to be treated the way that I was. So and he was still in there on my birthday, and we went out for my birthday and we drove past the hospital, and I just fucking like fell apart because it was just like knowing that he was in there and I couldn't get to him, and trying to sort of be normal and have some sort of a normal fucking birthday and enjoy some time out. So yeah, it was a really tough experience, but we took him home after 5 days in the NICU, and then the kind of baby blues and the anxiety and everything just kicked in massively. And yeah, what was that like for you?
Just being attentive, honestly. Like, I mean, that's like, I mean, I don't, you know, I mean, it's kind of like, I mean, I guess like the way that I like understand it is like, you know, for example, like the best way to explain it rather is it's like when you woke me up the other day and you said you thought he was choking, you know, like I didn't sit there and think or let things process. I just acted, you know what I mean? And so it's very much like the same thing. It's like, you know, you see a situation, you don't really think about it too much. You just act and do what you think is necessary to, you know, alleviate the situation or the, like, you know, the difficulty in the situation as much as humanly possible. You know, and I think like, you know, as such, you know, with the whole conservative thing, you know, Dirah and I do, you know, though both of us do work and stuff like that, we do have, you know, an agreement on, you know, we both agree with the traditional idea of gender roles. And I think that, you know, part of that is, you know, for me, is being able to act when I need to act instead of, you know, being scared, you know, half of the time and, you know what I mean? Like not doing anything, right? Like it's just getting into the situation and figuring out what to do and how to, you know, level it out. You know, and then if I can't do that, then it's, you know, get somebody that can.
Yeah. I really struggled to sleep, not because he wasn't sleeping, like he's actually a really good sleeper.
Don't jinx it.
I mean, he's starting to get a little bit fussier now. He's sleeping a little bit less at the moment. He's waking up more often, but no, when we first got him home, he was sleeping like 5 hours straight, which is crazy for a baby. He had something to say. So I was just like obsessing about his sleeping position, about what he was wearing, about whether he was too warm, about whether he was too cold, about like his breathing. Because the things with newborns, they are fucking heart attacks with the way that they breathe, because they go and then they stop and then they go like that. And it's just like, oh my God, when you don't know that and you're watching that and your baby's been in the NICU for 5 days because he
having breathing problems.
having breathing problems, I'm there like, oh my fucking God, you know, and I'm just, you know, I still, when I lay down at night to go to sleep, I'm still opening my eyes to just like check that, you know, the breathing's okay. But yeah, it was so difficult. I just had so much anxiety. I couldn't eat. I was crying all the time. I was in the bedroom for like 2 days with him when we got him home. And then I brought him downstairs and I couldn't even walk across the room and leave him on the other side of the room, like just in his pram without crying. I remember you said, go, like, why don't you go and make some dinner? And I was just like walking into the kitchen, just crying because it's like I had this separation anxiety. I still have this separation anxiety with my baby. It's like, it honestly, it felt like I needed him more than he needed me in a way. And it has gotten a lot better. I can leave him now in his pram and, you know, I can leave him with you when I take a shower or when I take a nap or make food or anything like that. So it has got a lot better.
See, with what you just said, I'm waiting for the comments after we're done doing this. Why didn't Addius go make dinner?
Yeah, so basically my pet peeve at the moment is when I see like videos, like reels and stuff or TikToks or whatever. And first of all, this irritates me because so people like to show their like nightly routine with their newborns, right? And they, you know, put the timestamp and be like, yeah, this, you know, 4 a.m. feed or whatever. And I'm like, so you got up to set up your camera and pretend to wake up to feed the baby? Like, how the fuck do you have the time or the energy to do that? Like, you know, newborn trenches, you know, I can't even imagine doing that. Like, I can't even imagine being fucking asked to do that, right? Anyway, in these videos, it's usually the mum, you know, doing everything. Sometimes you see the dad as well, but in the ones where you don't see the dad, all the comments like, why isn't the dad waking up and doing anything? And I fucking hate that. Okay. Oh, Papa.
It's all right. Probably just some saliva went down the wrong tube.
Like,
yeah.
Yeah, he's just having a good old stretch. So yeah, I fucking hate those because it's just like you don't see in a 1 minute reel like what a dad is doing in the background. Like, you don't know. Like, sure, the dad may not be doing fuck all. He might be a shit dad, but like, that's none of your fucking business. Like, you know, that like people don't understand that it's usually the dad that has to get up for work in the morning. You know, if we're talking about traditional gender roles and that kind of thing.
Oh, there goes the binky.
Oh no, you've run out of binkies.
Oh my boy.
So yeah, when I see those, I get like super fucking irritated because I just like, just take your like hatred of men elsewhere. Like,
right. Like, and the thing is just for context, the reason why I suggested to her to go make dinner, first and foremost, the reason she came downstairs was because I told her she needs to come downstairs. Because she didn't want to leave the room, because like the room was starting to become kind of like a safety net. And with someone that was previously agoraphobic, I didn't want her to fall into a habit of not being able to leave the room because she was afraid something bad was going to happen if she left the room. So I don't want to say forced, but, you know, I
put your foot down
and said, you're coming downstairs. And then because it was at the point where she felt like she couldn't do anything for herself, I said, well, why don't you go make some dinner? so she could start with that process of doing things again for herself, because that's what she needed, and that's what a good partner does. A good partner pushes you to do the things that you need to do for yourself. It wasn't because I couldn't make dinner. It wasn't because, I'm incapable. I mean, ask Dirah. There's, I think, the dinner flip between you and I, like, as of late, at least, most of the time I make dinner, but you also have, your hand in it as well, you know?
Yeah, and I usually wash the dishes, so.
Yeah. So really saying hi?
He's even got his little hand up.
Hey, he's like, what up?
But yeah, getting me downstairs was like quite a big milestone, I think. And then came the whole like taking him out and the stress that came with that, because I was just like, oh my God, there's germs everywhere. Like we sat down for lunch at Chili's and I was so stressed. I was like, this restaurant is filthy. Like it was just like a normal like restaurant, but because it was so packed and there were so many kids in there, I was like, oh my God, like, he's gonna get sick. And he didn't. He's fine. And then there was like the stress about like I wasn't comfortable like feeding him in public. So it was like getting him home so that I could feed him and things like that. And now I can pretty much feed him anywhere.
Yep.
Like I fed him outside of Walmart the other night.
Yep.
I fed him on stream last night as well. So it's definitely a case of like getting your confidence up, I think.
And I think knowing that, you're in a relationship, where you're backed, you're protected, you know what I mean? Like it helps that process, right?
Yeah. I'd say that the hardest part in terms of like the most demanding part of it is definitely like the tiredness. Like, only sleeping for 2-hour stretches at a time does
Like
really get
across
to
the
you.
board, the pregnancy. The tiredness thing is definitely a thing for you, and understandably.
Yeah, I mean, he's got like dried milk running off. Yeah, I mean, people say like pregnancy tired was worse than like newborn tired, and I'm like, no, newborn tired is so much worse for me. Like, yeah, I was tired all the time when I was pregnant, but like at least I could just sleep. Like I did have like really bad pregnancy insomnia at one point, for probably like a 2-month stretch of it, where I did sleep at night and I'd sleep in the day. But yeah, no, I definitely slept better than I do now, like being pregnant. But yeah, he is an absolute joy, and I think he is just the best thing ever. So yeah, it is like the most wonderful thing in the world, having a baby. And I absolutely adore my role as a mother and looking after him, like all of it. I just love all of it. And do I've not been this excited for Christmas in so many years that like now that we have him, I'm so excited for Christmas.
Right.
Even though you won't know what's going on, just like wrapping his presents earlier, I was just like, yeah, this is fucking great. So let's talk about role of the partner. So how...
I think this is more like you to me rather than to you, right? Because again, you're the one that's pregnant, you're the one that's taking care of him most of the time. So it's kind of like, where is, you know what I mean? How do you find the role of the partner? I'm the partner, by the way.
What, as in, how do I find your role?
Well, I mean, yeah, it's the role of the partner, right? So, what a supportive, in this case, because it is an occult podcast, a supportive left-hand path partner looks like. To you.
Mm.
And like, do I fit that role? Right?
Yeah.
Need to be changed. Touch a diaper. Feel full.
Yeah, he does.
You talk about me, and I'll go change it.
Well, there we go. That's an example, isn't it? So with me, I think because I enjoy looking after him so much, and even the bits that like are gross, like changing diapers and cleaning up vomit and things like that, like it's not even like gross to me at all. I'm just like, I'm happy to literally do all of it. Like I'm not bothered about, I never like sit here and think like, oh, I would rather like him do it, like I'm always happy to do it. But I think that can also carry over as like I'm being maybe not controlling, but just maybe doing a bit too much. I think I forget that, he also would like to do things as well. And obviously because he's breastfed, that's entirely me. And yeah, I think that can be maybe like I'm holding the baby hostage a little bit sometimes. So I think it's helpful to be reminded that he also wants to do things as well, and being asked, because otherwise I'll just I will literally just do all of it. So but I also feel like in my head I've also, I have this thing where I've always found it really difficult to ask for help, and that sounds really silly, having a baby, because it's like, why can't you ask your baby's father for help? And it's not anything to do with him, it's everything to do with me. I think, again, it's my high expectations of myself and my own sort of perfectionistic standards of I need to handle everything perfectly. So I think in terms of role of the partner, I definitely need to be reminded that it's his baby too, I suppose. And obviously when you have a newborn baby, it is emotionally and mentally draining, mainly due to lack of sleep. Oh, you're due the end of January. That's amazing. Congratulations. That's so exciting. It's going to be Aquarius in that case. So we were expecting our son to be a Scorpio, but he was obviously insistent on being a Libra, which is very, very Libra of him to do that. So yeah, our son's a Libra. He looks like a Libra as well. It's pretty weird. But yeah, protecting autonomy and not overriding it. I also understand that I think both me and Atius understand that we still both need our time in terms of our routine. So, for example, for me, my sort of me time is having a shower, and sometimes that's as good as it gets at the moment. Like, that is my time. And he needs time to work on his projects. So it's about being able to give each other that time. but with like the sleep deprivation and things like that, mainly on my part, you know, I have days where I'm more on edge. Hormonally, it takes a while for all of that to go back to normal. So, you know, I'm not always my best when it comes to reactions and things like that. And we've also had a lot of external stress going on as well. So it's about the role of the partner, I think, understanding that we're not our best selves all the time at the moment, and understanding each other's kind of humanness and not taking it personally. But we are both very sensitive individuals, so we find that really hard, I think, not to take things personally. So that's definitely been like a big challenge for us. Oh. What, the feeding?
Yeah.
Okay. Get my bib on.
Here you go.
There we go.
This adjustments, can we? No.
I hope you're finding the time to eat. My friend struggled with that after her little go. It is really difficult finding the time to eat. Oh, okay. Did you put the aircon back on? Thank you. Yeah. Very hot. Yeah, it is so difficult finding the time to eat. Like, because obviously, like, I get up in the morning and my first thing is like feeding him and getting him dressed and all of that. And then by the time that he goes down for a nap, it's probably like mid-afternoon. So I had my mum here for a couple of weeks, and it's like the best I've eaten in weeks. So that was really good. But it's kind of just slipped right back into finding, you know, trying to find the time to
Just tied it off in the back.
to eat and stuff. Right. You take over just while I
Adjust.
yeah.
Okay. Well, I don't know where you're at. I was upstairs.
Oh, I was on role of the partner, and I talked about how we're both very sensitive individuals, and that where this like all the like stress and sleep deprivation and stuff, it's like we're not always reacting in the best way. So.
Yeah, I think that's just kind of par for the course, though, right? Like, I mean, I think, you know, trying to kind of, you know, balance everything out and kind of figure out, you know, what's up and what's down with kind of like the new routines and stuff. As far as like, you know, sensitivity, I mean, yeah, I mean, both of us kind of need our sleep, stuff like that, you know, and I work a normal, regular 9-to-5 job. So, you know, I wake up and, you know, I got to be in work at 8 o'clock in the morning, and I work from 8 to 6. So, you know, I'm not available throughout the day. But because I do work from home, you know, like when he's asleep, she can roll him over here. She can take a nap, stuff like that. You know, I'll make her tea, you know, whatever, you know. And it's just, it really is about kind of like the back and forth. It really is about the back and forth. Like, you know, when I'm able to do something, I do it. When she's able to do something, she does it. And there's no complaint about, you know, one thing or the other. It's just like we kind of understand, like, you know, when we're able to do something and when we're not able to do something. And, you know, it's, you know, it just is what it is. I mean, this is, I think, one of the reasons why we don't like, you know, the, why did, like, I'm sorry, like, I am going to call this out, right? So whatever the fuck your name is, 1335, right? You come in here, you see what the subject is about, you see what it is that we're talking about, right? No one will know. We're not saying it publicly. The baby's name. So but yeah, whatever your name is, 1335. You come in here, you see what the conversation about, you see what we're talking about, and you come in with some stupid shit. Like, do you know about the concept of Abaddon and his system Armageddon of destruction? Dude, go fuck off. Like, seriously. Don't know, don't give a shit, right? Read the fucking room, you dumbass. You stupid son of a bitch. Like, for fuck's sake. Like, it's like, what, do you think you sound fucking cool? Like, what? Like, well, what's the deal? Like, god damn, you people fucking irritate me. He's been doing it the whole fucking stream. Like, do you practice clip off? Dude, shut the fuck up. Does it look like we're talking about that, or you're going to get an answer for it? Like, why is it so hard for people to read the fucking room? Like, you walk in, you hear what the conversation is about, and then you start asking shit about stuff that's like completely fucking, you know what I mean? Yeah. God, this shit fucking irritates me. Oh. But yeah, it's about he does realize I'm talking about him, right? All right. Anyway, so it is about give and take. That's what it's about, right? It's about the back and forth, and taking care of each other. Like that's like the biggest thing. It's taking care of each other, right? And one of the advantages that Dirah and I have that I think a lot of people miss in their relationships is we're not afraid to turn around and say, I'm feeling needy today, or I'm feeling clingy today, or, I need you right now. I don't know why I need you, but I need you right now. And neither of us are afraid to say that. Right? Neither of us have a problem with that. And, a year later, I have yet to run into, a bad response, right? Like, fuck off. Like, that's never happened, but, she will openly tell me, she's like, you know what? Hey, I'm sorry, if I haven't been, fully present, I'm feeling some kind of way myself, and, I'll do what I can, and it's like, there's nothing wrong with it. There's no getting upset. There's no, nothing. Right. And I think when it comes to your partner, like it's understanding that point right there, right? The reason why people say partner, right, which I personally don't really like that fucking term. It sounds so cold and, but the reason you use the term partner is because you are in a partnership where you help each other, you lift each other up, you make sure that the other one doesn't hit the ground, right? You keep your partner up, you hold them up. That's what it is. And Dirah and I are in a partnership, and in every sense of it, right? We work on each other's businesses, we live together, we have the baby, even when it comes to my older son, which was, I think, another thing that kind of complicated the whole situation, was because he actually got reintroduced to the household at the same time that the baby was born. Right. And so that kind of complicated things, not in a bad way. It was just, obviously, when you have two children, both children need attention, right? Both children need to be paid attention to. They need to be treated equally. They need to know that, one isn't more important than the other, right? And thankfully, my son has been dealing with, having a brother. He's been very excited about having a little brother. He's responded very well to it. And he's just doing very, very good, with having a little brother. And I think that in that sense of things, that's an aspect of things that probably could have gone horribly wrong and didn't, and I'm very grateful for that. And I'm not gonna lie, like I'm grateful to have a full crazy house. I love being a father, and I love the noises that my kids make, even when he's crying and stuff like that. I don't get upset about it. You know, she wakes me up at, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. Hey, can you swaddle him? What do I do? I get up and swaddle him, right? Like I don't complain, about the things that I do, right? So shifts. I think for me and my side of things, spiritually speaking, I think I've been more active because there are certain responsibilities that have fallen on me that cause me to need to be more spiritually active. I think for you, you kind of mentioned like, feeling differently, almost kind of like guilty in a way because you feel like you've lost it, but like you didn't. I guess you didn't sacrifice it. You just it's different. I mean,
There was a point, I think like a couple of weeks ago, where I said to you, I don't know if I want to do this anymore in terms of like being an occultist. Like it got that bad in terms of feeling astray. It's like I said, if when you attach something like that to your identity, when it's on pause or there's a distance or separation there from a huge part of it, you do kind of just, I don't know, it feels like you've lost interest, but you haven't. It's honestly, it's tiredness. That's what it comes down to. It comes down to being fucking tired and knowing you need energy to do what you want to do. So after I said that to you, you put your foot down and said, go and do a ritual. I was like, no, I really don't want to. Don't make me go and do that. I really, really don't want to. But I did. And the feedback I got was that, it's not just going to magically go back to how it was. It is going to be different. And
it's never going to go back to how it was. It's always going to be different.
Yeah.
But that's not inherently a bad thing.
But like, don't expect to feel the
same way
or anything like it, at least like not right now. It's going to be a process. And, obviously where I haven't been connecting so much with the spirits that I work with, it's like trying to reach them again feels difficult. But I did a little something today and I kind of realized that like, that's not them, it's me. And when you've disconnected from something for a while, it takes a while to
get back,
find your way back to it. Yeah. Because we're talking about like working with energy currents, right? So it's something you tap into. When you haven't tapped into something for a while, it's like trying to find that kind of signal again, that frequency again. So yeah, I don't know. I think I've found a little bit more patience with myself and with that process.
Good. And I think another important thing to kind of keep in mind here is like, I think you've heard a couple of times so far that, Dirah said that I've put my foot down, right? I think it is extremely important in a relationship to understand when your partner needs something and know when they need a little nudge to do something that they don't want to do. Because like, your partner, like whoever you're with, can, or even yourself can fall into, I don't want to say self-destructive behaviors, but letting themselves off the hook or letting yourself off the hook for not doing something you need to do for yourself. And I mean, that could be as simple as taking a shower or, getting some rest or, doing a ritual or whatever the case may be. And I think it's important to know, understand your partner to that level, you know what I mean? And know what needs to be done to help them, get back into the swing of what it is that they're doing. And the reason I bring this up is because, yet again, that is going to be another thing that, people are going to fucking listen to. They're like, oh, he puts his foot down, she's being abused, like, it's going to happen. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
And that's not what it is at all. It's knowing. Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much.
So it is. It's holding the other person accountable, for what they need to be held accountable for, and allowing them that space to go do what they need to do. So it's just one of those things. It's one of those things that I think from the get-go, when you were in your prep, there would be days that you didn't want to go for the walk or whatever it is, right? And I would egg you on and get you to go out and do the walk and go to the gym and stuff like that, like when you didn't want to. And it's been a staple of our relationship that I understand you to the point of where, like, I'm not going to let you slip, and that's part of lifting your partner up, right? Is giving them that little nudge when they feel like they're falling backwards and they're letting go of everything and they just don't want to hold on to anything, that you hold on to them until they can hold on to the things that they want to hold on to again. So, right.
So I think I pretty much covered everything I want to cover. Is there anything you want to add?
No, I mean, I think I'm pretty good. I mean, we've got, the household structure, roles, parenting, the parenting philosophy. I mean, both of us are pretty on point. Like, I think one of the big things is before having a kid, before getting married and stuff like that, like what a lot of people are missing is that they don't have the difficult conversations at the beginning, right? Like the things that you need to understand about your partner, right? Do you agree on certain things, very specific things, for those that, have been following us for a while, are aware that, I don't have female friends. She doesn't have male friends. That's, not a thing. We both agree on that, right? We neither of us are in a like support like abortion. We're both anti-abortion. We're both. I mean, what else are we? Like, I mean, like, there's a long list of things. We both believe in the nuclear family, right? The necessity of having mom and dad in the household, right? We agree with meal times and all of those types of things. And it's we have boundaries that we've both agreed upon, and I think that those are the things that are important when you first start out a relationship, is setting those boundaries, right? And it's to say, like, so for example, the one that I think most people are going to probably think is extreme is the idea that I don't have female friends and you don't have male friends. Most people are going to be like, oh, what? That's so controlling. And it's like, not really, because if you think about it, here's the thing, right? I promise you that I know for a fact that anyone that wants to be her friend wants to fuck her. Any man that wants to be her friend doesn't want to be her friend. He's waiting for an opportunity to fuck her. And it's the same thing in reverse with women that are friends with men. Like, I don't have female friends because I'm not opening up doors, man. I'm not, letting the risk of anything, anything build that shouldn't build and shit like that. And these are boundaries that we have agreed upon, right? My philosophy is be with someone that agrees with the boundaries that you're setting and you set for yourself, and have that understanding, that mutual understanding. To say that a woman can't have male friends, I'm not saying that. She's an adult. She can have male friends, but that's not something that I want for my life. And that's not an ultimatum, right? It's just saying that, and this is why these conversations in the beginning are so important, right? Because it's to say that before you get to the position where there is a child involved, right? or there is paperwork signed. You have these difficult conversations and you come to these understandings, together as a couple, that you either agree or disagree. So to say that, I don't agree with, I don't want to be in a relationship with someone that's going to be going out every weekend, that they're going to be partying, that they're going to be doing this, that they're going to be doing that. You want to live your life that way. That's perfectly fine. But I don't want to be a part of it, because I don't want to live my life that way. I don't want to be in a relationship with someone that wants to live their life that way. And these are conversations that we had at the very beginning. I mean, what are your thoughts on it?
I think for me, with the whole like not having male friends thing, and vice versa with you, I think the main thing for me with that is like a consideration thing, because it's like, what are you doing? Because it's like you can understand objectively that it's a friendship and that's what it is, and you can trust your partner. But A, you can't trust the other person's intentions, and B, it's still, even when you know in yourself that that's not what it is, it can still...
It happens.
No, I mean, like, for example, I had a message from someone like months ago now. They were just like saying, "Hi, how are you?" And it was a man. And it was someone from like my old 12-step group. And he's a married man. He's significantly older than me, and probably had, all good intentions and whatever. But I didn't respond. And yeah, I felt a little bit rude not responding. But it's a conversation taking place on WhatsApp with another man. And I don't need to be doing that. He's not my dad. He's not family. He's not in my life or someone I was even interacting with on a regular basis. Obviously, if I saw him in person, it'd be a different story. But because it takes place on my phone, it just feels a little bit too separate.
Yeah.
In person, it's completely different, because it's not like, because it's like a 12-step group, right? You don't meet up with people on their own, it's a group setting kind of thing. But talking to another man one-on-one, that feels different. It's like I can be friendly to people, but I'm not fucking hanging out with them like they're my mates, it's exactly how you cross paths with them in life, So that's the way I see it. It's a consideration thing. Am I going to be more worried about this person being offended that I haven't responded, or how my husband feels? Obviously, like, it's the latter. So yeah, that's kind of how I view it.
Yeah, no, it's it's the same thing, with me. Like it works the same way, and we're very open. Like, so another thing that we both agreed upon, if somebody, hits us up and it's flirty or something like that, we immediately let the other one know. Like, hey, this person is, messaging me and saying this and saying that and, whatever. And I just want to let you know, and the amount of respect that exists in our relationship is, it's scary sometimes, because I never thought I would have a relationship this healthy, and where things are conversations and not fights, and I'm very grateful for, what Dirah and I have together. So yeah, I mean, and this little bundle of joy, which is being very fussy.
Like, guys, can you shut up now?
Right? So, you got anything else?
No, I don't think so. I think that's a good place to end it. So thank you to everyone who has come in, said hi, and listen to us talk about stuff tonight. And yeah, we will see you next week. I mean, is there anything you want to kind of plug at this point?
At this point, I mean, obviously you guys know, like my shows, Satan and Coffee, 3 days a week, Wednesdays, Fridays, and Sundays. Apocrypha on Saturdays. Dirah is part of that, part of Apocrypha, as long as baby allows. You know, and Infernal Compass, life coaching. You can look that up on blackmagicdirah.com. There's information on it there. Making a children's book, a Left Hand Path children's book, Leora and Pip. It's halfway done. The first half will be released probably the first half of next year. Book of Baphomet, Conversations with the Horned One, finally getting published January 13th. That'll be on Amazon. You guys can get it there. And I mean, yeah, I mean, that's about it. And obviously, you know, Dirah's spiritual services, ritual services, and all that fun stuff.
Yep, 35% off until tomorrow, Cyber Monday. I've also updated all my membership tiers on my website. It's now into beginner, intermediate, and advanced. And there is loads of new content on that. So I'm going to be kind of promoting that a bit more the coming week. But I thought I'd just mention that here. So, okay. Thank you very much for joining, and we will see you in the next one.
Peace out.
Bye for now.